Stay tuned, everybody, because it's time for the Playin on Music Row podcast with your host, Fran. Heard each week on this station. And now, here's Fran.
Well, welcome, and we want to welcome our guest, today's guest for Playin on Music Row, and it is a good friend of mine, Michael Botte.
Fran, it's been too long. I think it's been maybe close to a year since we first met, and I'm glad to do this because a lot of things have changed. So thank you so much for bringing me on. I appreciate it.
You're quite welcome. I know there's a lot going on in your career, so I said we have to go in and revisit.
Yes.
Well, you actually started doing real well. I think the career really was taking off when you came up with this idea of the Michael Botte Band. What's the situation with that now?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if we delved into this, but COVID, of course, affected different people in different ways, Fran, right? The whole world shut down. So 2020, I had a lot of extra time on my hands. So in a time of confusion and chaos and uncertainty, that's really when the Michael Botte Band was born. I had been writing and playing for years and years, but I'm always the guy in the corner, doing stuff. I just didn't really want anybody to hear what I had to say. And then finally, I met my current producer, Bob Beals from Sound Foundation Studios. And once I sent him a demo and heard what we could sound like, I was like, yeah, it's time to do this. So that's really when the Michael Botte Band, as we know it today, which is just me and Bob, it's just the two of us. He lives 7 hours away from me. I've never physically met him yet, but we make music online and share files back and forth. So that is the Michael Botte Band as we know it today.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that. Now, but let me ask you this question. Though there were others in your family that had musical talent, or are you the only one?
I always spoke, people ask me when I started music, and it's, if I go all the way back, I always joke that my father sang more than he spoke. He was never a professional musician, but he was involved in so many different musical entities. As an example, he was a member of a few barbershop quartets, a cappella music, which is incredibly challenging. And he was the leader of the local church choir. So I would go with him to all the practices. And then he was also a member of the various local musical theater groups. So all the big productions, Fran, like My Fair Lady and Sound of Music and Fiddler on the Roof. So as a kid, I would go travel with him to all these productions. And I will say this, Fran, knowing a lot of the lyrics to some of these musical theater songs did not make me the coolest kid in the neighborhood by any stretch. But I guess, his voice, which I guess became my voice, was sort of my first introduction to music as a really young kid.
You know what they say about boys that like theater music.
I made it through. I made it through just fine.
Well, my dad used to do that. My dad used to sing Mario Lanza and all this. We were Italian. I was from an Italian family.
Yeah, we talked about this. I think our families are, I'm Napolitan. I think our families are somewhat close to each other.
Yes, my Calabrese and actually they're from Sicily.
Oh, Sicily, more south. Okay, right on. Yeah, right on.
Well, we're going to be playing a song called My Way that you wrote. Maybe can you give us a little idea about the history of that particular song before we play?
Boy, My Way. So this is interesting. I'm glad you're asking about this one. So I started writing this one about 25 years ago, late 90s. And I remember I finished it. I remember exactly where I was when I finished it, early 2000s. So about 20 years ago. So this song has been sitting, I guess, waiting to come out. But I wasn't ready for it to come out. It's pretty vulnerable. It's a lot slower for what Bob and I do, and a lot more vulnerable, a lot more reflective, introspective, and it deals with some challenging subjects about mental health and helping people to understand that it's okay to ask for help, to help find my way, if you will. So after all these years, and Bob and I were talking, and we have been doing a lot more rockin' songs, a lot more country rock, and we needed a slower kind of singer-songwriter-ish song, although there's a lot of different parts to the song. So we finally decided to release this just a few weeks ago. Very, very different for us, as we'll find out. But yeah, it just took a long time for me to feel comfortable to let it go. And now the song is not mine. It's part of the universe. So I don't own it anymore. You own it, and everybody else owns it.
Well, sometimes good things and great things take some time. So we're going to listen to My Way by the Michael Botte Band.
Oh, right on.
your face is fading, a distant dream I can't define, I can't define. These chains are slowly wearing, I tried in vain to hold back time. Ruby-coated memories, they speak to me with such disdain, with such disdain. I can't see behind me through the tainted window pane. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The view provides some clarity of what lies in front of me. The roots have broken, but my wings are open, come what may. Help me find my way. Help me find my way. To feel the ground beneath me, it seems too far. My hands are tied. My hands are tied. Sensory confusion, my sense of touch has been denied. To covered perfect dawn, the morning can't come round too soon, oh, round too soon. Walk into the garden and cut the fragile flowers in bloom. The view provides some clarity of what lies in front of me. Roots are broken, but my wings are open, come what may. Help me find my way. Help me find my way. Help me find my way.
Big finish.
We always want to get to the end. We don't want to leave anything out.
Yeah, thank you for playing that. Thank you.
Well, I'm happy you finished it because that's a really good song. I want to find out, how would you describe your sound? Because I know you have so many different, those different sounds. How would you describe your sound?
Yeah, boy, that's a really good question. I will say that when I first started, so I no one really knows this, but I put out a self-produced EP in 2021 called Radiate, which, it was a respectable output. I did it all myself. I learned how to record, produce everything voraciously. I read and studied interviews and videos. And so I put out that EP, and it was more in that kind of grunge alt rock sort of world, right? And then when I met, again, my current producer, Bob Beals from Sound Foundation Studios, and we did New Rising Sun, which is the first song we did, And all of a sudden, we kind of landed into this sort of country rock world, which I did not anticipate. It just kind of happened that way. So I immediately, the good news about putting music into the universe, you could rip it out just as fast.
Yeah.
So Fran, I removed that album, that EP from the universe. So maybe someone has it in the universe, but I don't know who. And then we just kind of landed into this sort of country rock world, and it just spiraled. One of our songs, Beautiful Day, which is a country rock song, charted at #1 in a world music indie chart back in May, and #3 in another European indie music chart in May. So that country rock sound is kind of where we landed. However, I just approved my next release this weekend. I just approved it. It'll be October 7th, I believe. And we went right back to like that alt 80s, 90s, kind of early 2000s alt rock. So we're kind of going backwards again. So to answer your question, country rock, alt rock, in that world, I guess, is where we land.
Okay, well, okay, that's fine. Yeah, because I know it's so different. Your sounds are so different. Well, I'm glad you mentioned that New Rising Sun, because I know that's what you knew, that's your new sort of release. And so we're going to be playing that. So can you give us a little idea about the background on that one too?
Yeah, so New Rising Sun actually was the first song Bob and I did. It was released about 13 months ago, I think July of last year. It was the first song we did. And boy, the accolades that we got for this song were really amazing. So this song was written about 15, 16 years ago. My wife and I are both from the East Coast. I'm from Pittsburgh area. She's from New York. And we were living in New Mexico out in the desert, loving life. And our daughter was born. And it was one of those things, Fran, and coming from a big Italian family, she comes from a big Italian family. We were always traveling cross country for events and holidays and whatever. And one time we were coming back to New Mexico. My daughter was maybe 1.5 years, 2 years old, and she was crying, Fran, and crying about missing her Nona and missing her cousins, and she wanted to be with her family. So I looked at my wife on a plane at 30,000 feet, and I said, what are we doing? What are we doing? So we had to make the decision to kind of leave everything that we loved in order for the greater good, if you will, to go back east. So when I talk about, ready to face distant horizons, stare into space at the new rising sun, that's me saying that we were ready to accept change, accept what life had to offer, and just move forward. So that's what a new rising sun is. It's just about us accepting change and living life and loving life and doing what's best for the greater good, I guess.
Okay. Well, great. We're gonna play it now. Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah.
Let's take a drive all through the night, rest along the way. Sometimes we feel the need to move on. Sometimes we need to stay. I remember where we came from, and I sure know where we've been. This is not how the story ends. It's how it begins. Ready to face a distant horizon, stare into space at the new rising sun. Ready to face a distant horizon, stare into space at the new rising sun. Stare at the new rising sun. What do you see? Master illusion or a pure reality? Let's go get lost in a familiar place, 'cause where you are is where I'll be. I remember where we came from, and I sure know where we've been. This is not how the story ends. This is how it begins. Ready to face a distant horizon, stare into space came from, and to sure know where we've been. This is not how the story ends. It's how it begins.
Thank you for playing that, Fran. Yeah.
Cool. That's cool. Well, let's talk about who actually helped you with the video on that.
Well, unfortunately, that was just me screwing around with my computer. I mean, obviously, you could tell it's by an amateur. That was just me messing about.
Oh yeah, I guess you're not going to rent yourself out for video.
I'm going to try the music thing, and this is difficult enough. I'm going to try to stay with this, but no, I will not be doing videos. No.
Okay. Well, we talked earlier about the Michael Botte band. Do you think you'll be touring or performing anywhere about?
Yeah.
I know you're doing a lot of recording, but
it's interesting you say that. Bob and I have talked about that because, like I said, right now it's Bob and I. We send files back and forth, back and forth. There isn't actually a physical band. And there's like certain acoustic gigs. Matter of fact, I've been offered a couple different opportunities in Baltimore and Philly to kind of be a part of some shows. And I don't know, I'm a full-time career guy and I travel a lot for work, and music's a really, really, really cool hobby, but it's kind of getting more to be more than just a hobby. So I'm not sure if we're kind of getting to that point where we might have to make some decisions about maybe me doing some things, or maybe finding some local guys to play some of the parts, and maybe me doing some things, because my name, of course, is on the door, right? So I don't know. That's a really good question. I don't have anything to offer right now, but we may be at a point where that's probably the next step.
Well, yeah, when you start getting airplay and stuff like that, sometimes they want you to come there and actually perform because they get to know you.
Yeah, I've taught. Yeah, I think right now, last check. Matter of fact, one of my promoters just emailed me today. I think we're on, and it's hard to judge airplay because it changes, week to week, and day to day, and month to month. I think we're on roughly, last check, in the vicinity of 2,000, 2,200 stations, somewhere around there. Which I know it's not really that. There's a lot more stations around the world, but we're kind of in that realm right now. So we are getting some attention, but maybe that next step, who knows? We'll see what that next step is.
Well, that would be a lot of places for you to have to travel to.
I know.
Okay, so being that you have so much action going on, is there any place that that the listeners can go and find out more about your music, what's going on?
Yeah, honestly, it's simple. Michael Botte Band, Botte. You type that in, and it's every streaming platform, every social media platform, my website. However, on Twitter, the name was too big, so it's just M Botte Band. But still, you could find me. It's very simple. I'm everywhere. The good news about distributing music, as you probably know, is when you put the music out there, whatever service you use puts it on every streaming platform there is. I mean, things I've never even heard of,
Right.
dozens and dozens of streaming platforms. So if you really wanted to find us, you could find us.
Okay, cool. Well, I've asked you a lot of questions, but is there anything that I haven't asked you that you'd want to say to the listeners or the people out there?
It's funny. I was asked something like that once before. Is there like any final, parting comments? And I will say this: now that I've been listening to music like you for 1,000 years, and I love so much music, and I've always appreciated the indie music scene. But now that I'm kind of swimming in that vast musical ocean of the indie musician, I will say the quality of the music is outstanding that I listen to. And the tough part is that because there's so many of us. And as an example, last check, I believe there were between 20 and 30,000 songs per day uploaded to social media streaming sites. Not social media, but streaming sites like the Amazons and the iTunes and the Spotifys. So it's really, really easy for us little guys just to get lost in this vast musical ocean. So all I could say is, please love on an indie musician. Listen, buy their stuff if you can, stream their music. The recordings and the production are outstanding. It's just very, very difficult to get heard. As you know, you probably get hundreds of emails a day from people like me wanting you to play my stuff. And it's just very challenging. So love on an indie musician, and then love on the indie radio stations who play the indie musicians. That's my message.
Okay. Well, I think actually that's where promotion is very important. Sometimes you have promotional. Do you have a promotional person that works and helps you out?
Yeah, I've had a couple. So to be honest, I do a lot of DIY. I have spent countless hours, developing relationships for people like you, and email marketing, which is so important, and finding contacts. But I have used a young guy named Caden Gordon, radio show. Do you know Caden?
Yes, he's the one who
I think you do know Caden.
He sent us your information.
Maybe that's how you and I met, was through Caden.
Yes.
Really hardworking young guy. I mean, he has thousands of contacts right now. He's really making a splash in his space. So Caden Gordon has been really good to me, and really kind and sweet guy, hardworking young kid. He's still in high school, or maybe just starting college.
He's in college now. Yeah.
He's in college now. Yeah. So really good kid. So he's helped me a lot along the way. But to be honest, I've done a lot of it just through countless hours on Facebook and Twitter, and searching for radio stations, and all that kind of stuff. So unfortunately, it's not just as easy as putting out music. There's a whole dark side to the promotional side, because like I said, there are tens of thousands of songs uploaded every day, and how are you going to be found? So you got to really spend the time. Unfortunately, you just do.
Well, you're the chief cook and bottle washer, I guess.
I am, yes.
Well, I tell you, the Nashville Broadcasting Network wants to thank you, Michael.
No,
thank you. So much time to speak with us today.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, Fran. Yeah, thank you I think last time we just had a phone interview. This is the first time we did a video interview. Yeah. No, thank you, Fran, so much. You've been one of the original supporters of me and of Caden. So I'm so happy that we got to circle back and do this again. And then hopefully in another, who knows how long, when I have more releases coming out. Like I said, October 7th, I believe, is the next release, called Radiate. And it's by far the rockingest song we have done. And it's definitely in that late 90s, early 2000s alt rock theme. So we'll see what happens.
Well, cool. Well, thank you, Michael.
Yeah, thank you, Fran. Good to see you.